The shadow's exposure and divine timing. You did not stumble upon these words through the algorithms of chance. No, something far more ancient than machine learning has drawn you here, to this precise moment in your soul's journey. What Carl Gustav Jung termed synchronicity is at work. That mysterious collision where your inner psychological state and outer circumstances mirror one another with such precision that rational explanation crumbles. The sleepless nights that brought you scrolling at 3 a.m., the inexplicable pull toward content about deception and awakening, the nameless dread that has colonized your chest for weeks. These are not symptoms of anxiety disorder. They are the language of the self, that totality of your being that Jung spent his lifetime mapping, speaking through the only vocabulary available when the conscious mind refuses to listen. There exists in your immediate orbit a figure, most likely male, given the archetypal patterns we will explore, who has mastered what Jung called the persona. This is the mask we wear for social survival, the carefully curated performance of acceptability. He has refined this mask to art, offering precisely calibrated gestures of care, socially appropriate demonstrations of concern, the right words at the right moments. But beneath this polished surface, the shadow, that repository of everything we cannot accept about ourselves, churns with increasing violence. What has been exiled to the unconscious does not simply disappear. It gathers density, pressure, malevolence. The psyche operates according to laws as immutable as physics. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. And rejected psychological energy transforms into something that will eventually erupt. This is why I created the 3 Keys to a Prosperous Life, a practical trilogy of wisdom designed specifically for chosen ones, navigating the treacherous territory between awakening and integration. It's the map I never had during my own dark night, the blueprint for recognizing shadow projections before they colonize your reality. You'll find the link pinned in the description below, because what I'm about to reveal requires not just understanding, but actionable framework. This is not theory. This is psychological survival. The exposure you sense approaching is not random chaos. It is the self, that divine organizing principle Jung identified as the God image within the psyche, orchestrating the conditions for your next evolution. You are being initiated into what I called individuation, the lifelong process of becoming who you actually are, rather than who trauma, society, and unconscious patterns have shaped you to be. This journey toward wholeness cannot proceed while you remain entangled with someone operating from their unintegrated shadow. The very frequency of their unconscious chaos creates interference in your field, disrupting the delicate work of psychological alchemy you have been undergoing. The architecture of deception, how the shadow operates in relationship. Let us examine the mechanics of what you have been experiencing. This man, and I use masculine pronouns because the archetypal pattern here aligns with the wounded masculine, though the dynamics apply regardless of gender, exists in a state Jung termed psychic splitting. His conscious self-image, his persona, genuinely believes the performance he offers. When he speaks words of support, part of him means them. This is not simple hypocrisy, it is fragmentation. The conscious ego and the shadow have become so divorced that he can simultaneously hold caring intentions and destructive impulses without experiencing cognitive dissonance. This splitting occurs through what Jung identified as repression, but of a specific kind. In childhood, this man encountered aspects of himself, rage, need, vulnerability, desire, that his environment could not tolerate. Perhaps he had a father who modeled emotional unavailability, teaching him that authentic feeling equals weakness. Perhaps he had a mother whose love was conditional upon performance, creating the template that connection requires constant pretense. Or perhaps he experienced trauma that was too overwhelming for his developing psyche to integrate, forcing those unbearable feelings into exile. Whatever the origin, a split occurred. The parts deemed unacceptable, the neediness, the rage at being unseen, the terror of abandonment, the shame of imperfection, were banished to the unconscious. But the unconscious is not a passive graveyard, it is a living ecosystem. These rejected parts formed what Jung called a complex, an autonomous pocket of psychic energy, with its own logic, its own needs, its own agenda. And complexes, when sufficiently charged with emotional intensity, begin to operate independently of conscious control. This is why his behavior confuses you. You witness moments of genuine warmth, followed by inexplicable coldness. Promises made with apparent sincerity that dissolve into nothing, concern that somehow feels hollow despite checking all the right boxes. What you are experiencing is not one person, but a fragmented psyche, the conscious persona interacting with you directly, while the shadow complex periodically seizes control, acting out its rejected needs through passive aggression, withdrawal, subtle sabotage, or outright betrayal. Jung discovered that complexes reveal themselves through projection. Unable to acknowledge his own neediness, this man projects it onto others, experiencing them as clingy or demanding. Unable to face his rage, he projects it outward, seeing others as unreasonable or aggressive. Unable to integrate his capacity for deception, he becomes hypervigilant about others' dishonesty, constantly suspicious, testing loyalty. This projection creates a hall of mirrors where authentic relationship becomes impossible, because he is never truly seeing you, only his own rejected parts reflected in your face. The chosen one, the old soul walking the individuation path, develops heightened sensitivity to this psychological distortion. Your awakening journey has been clearing your own projections, dissolving your own complexes through the painful work of shadow integration. This process, examining your own darkness, reclaiming your own rejected parts, making conscious what was unconscious, attunes you to a different frequency. You begin to feel psychological truth the way a musician detects notes out of tune. The dissonance in your chest, the unease you cannot rationalize, the dreams that leave you disturbed. These are not paranoia, they are perception. Your nervous system, rewired through years of spiritual practice and psychological work, has become an instrument for detecting what Jung called the numinous, the presence of powerful unconscious content breaking through into awareness. When you are in proximity to someone operating from their shadow, your body knows before your mind can articulate it. The tightness in your solar plexus is not anxiety. It is your energetic field registering the contamination of someone else's unprocessed darkness. The exhaustion you feel after interactions is not weakness. It is the metabolic cost of your psyche working overtime to maintain boundaries against someone who has none. This is the hidden burden of the chosen one. You attract wounded people precisely because your light triggers their shadow. The clarity of your presence illuminates what they have spent lifetimes hiding from themselves. This creates what Jung termed enantiodromia, the principle that everything eventually transforms into its opposite. Your very healing presence activates their wounding. Your authenticity destabilizes their performance. Your boundaries expose their enmeshment, and rather than do their own shadow work, they unconsciously attempt to dim your light, creating confusion and chaos that pulls you back down to a frequency they can tolerate. The collective unconscious speaks, reading the symbolic language, but something deeper has been happening beneath the surface drama of this relationship. The collective unconscious, that vast repository of human experience Jung discovered beneath our personal psychology, has been sending signals. You have been receiving transmissions that your rational mind dismissed as coincidence, but which your soul recognized as instruction. The repeating numbers you keep seeing, 11, 11, 3, 33, 4, 44 are not mystical accidents. They function as what Jung called synchronistic phenomena, moments when the inner world of psychological readiness and the outer world of circumstance align to deliver meaning. Your unconscious, preparing you for the coming revelation, uses these numerical patterns to arrest your attention, to create a cognitive bridge between the rational and symbolic minds. Each repetition is the self saying, "Pay attention. Something is emerging from the depths." The dreams have intensified, haven't they? Dreams of being chased, of discovering hidden rooms in familiar houses, of people wearing masks that slip to reveal something else underneath. Jung taught that dreams are the psyche's natural self-regulation mechanism, compensating for the one-sidedness of consciousness. When your waking mind refuses to acknowledge danger, your dreaming mind speaks in the archetypal language of pursuit and revelation. The recurring dream figure, who both attracts and repels you, is likely a shadow personification, your psyche trying to show you what you cannot yet consciously see about this man's hidden nature. You may have noticed synchronicities clustering around this person, unexpected encounters when you were just thinking of him, messages arriving at precisely the moment you decided to pull back. Mutual acquaintances suddenly mentioning him after months of silence. These are not evidence of supernatural obsession. They are the collective unconscious orchestrating conditions for your awakening. Jung discovered that when we are on the threshold of major psychological transformation, synchronicities multiply. The psyche uses external reality as a symbolic mirror, arranging circumstances to reflect back what needs to be integrated. Consider the tarot cards you may have pulled if you work with such systems. The tower appearing repeatedly, that image of divine lightning striking false structures. The moon, revealing illusions and hidden enemies. The Seven of Swords, the figure stealing away with blades, deception and betrayal. These archetypal images are not predicting fixed futures. They are mapping your current psychological state. The tower is not announcing disaster. It is reflecting the necessary destruction of false beliefs about this person. The moon is not warning of danger. It is showing you that you have been navigating by false light, mistaking performance for truth. Animals have been behaving strangely in your environment, haven't they? Perhaps your normally friendly dog growls when this person visits. Perhaps birds fall suddenly silent when his name is mentioned. Jung understood that animals, lacking the human capacity for self-deception, respond directly to the energetic truth of situations. They are not reading minds. They are sensing the coherence or incoherence of someone's energetic field. Your pet's hostility is not random. It is an instinctual recognition of predatory frequency. Even your own body has been trying to communicate in increasingly desperate ways. The migraines that arrive before his visits, the stomach distress that follows your interactions, the insomnia that keeps you rehearsing conversations, trying to make sense of the nonsensical. Jung recognized these psychosomatic symptoms as the body's wisdom trying to override the mind's denial. Your body, that ancient animal self, knows this person represents danger even when your trained social self insists on giving benefit of doubt. This is the gift and curse of the chosen one. You receive information through channels that others dismiss as irrational. Your empathic sensitivity, your intuitive hits, your gut-level knowing. These are not symptoms of disorder. They are the fruits of an awakened psyche, learning to read the symbolic language of the collective unconscious. You are becoming fluent in the mother tongue of the soul, the alchemical crucible. Why your suffering served purpose. But here is where we must confront a disturbing truth that many spiritual teachers avoid. Your proximity to this man's shadow has not been accidental. The universe, or what Jung called the self, that organizing principle seeking your wholeness, has kept you in this crucible for a reason. Your suffering has served your individuation. This is not victim blaming dressed in spiritual language. This is the recognition that the psyche uses relationship as its primary laboratory for transformation. You did not attract this person through low vibration or inadequate manifestation practice. You attracted this person because your psyche needed a living example of the shadow dynamics you were ready to study. He became the walking embodiment of lessons you could not learn any other way. Consider what you have learned through this ordeal. You have learned to distinguish performed care from authentic presence. You have learned that words and actions can diverge catastrophically. You have learned that some people cannot love beyond their trauma, no matter how desperately you wish otherwise. You have learned that empathy without boundaries becomes self-destruction. You have learned that your discomfort is information, not weakness. These lessons could not be taught through books or workshops. They required direct experience in the alchemical heat of relationship. Jung spent years studying medieval alchemy, eventually recognizing it as a symbolic map of psychological transformation. The alchemist spoke of turning lead into gold, but Jung understood this as metaphor, transforming the base material of unconscious suffering into the gold of conscious wisdom. This process requires what alchemists called the mortificatio, the death phase, where everything false must be burned away. Your time with this man has been your mortificatio. The false beliefs about who he was had to die. The naive assumptions about human nature had to die. The part of you that still believed you could love someone into wholeness had to die. This death has been excruciating because spiritual death always is. The ego, that sense of continuous identity we cling to, fights dissolution with every weapon available. This is why you kept making excuses for him, reinterpreting red flags as misunderstandings, giving endless second chances. Your ego was trying to prevent the death of its worldview, the comfortable fiction that good intentions and pure love can overcome all obstacles. But the self, that deeper organizing principle, knew this fiction had to shatter. The delays in your life that you could not understand, the opportunities that evaporated, the doors that closed, the timing that stayed perpetually off, many of these were connected to this man's presence in your energetic field. His unintegrated shadow was creating interference, like radio static disrupting a clear signal. The universe could not deliver your next chapter while you remained entangled with someone operating at that frequency. This is not magical thinking. This is energetic reality. Consciousness is contagious, and unconsciousness is even more so. His proximity has been draining your life force through what Jung understood as psychic vampirism. This is not metaphor. Individuals who refuse their own shadow work unconsciously feed on the psychological energy of others. Every time you processed his emotions for him, every time you made sense of his contradictions, every time you held space for his unacknowledged pain, you were performing psychic labor that he should have been doing himself. This is the hidden tax of relationship with the unconscious. They export their internal work onto your nervous system. You have likely noticed yourself becoming someone you didn't recognize, more anxious, more confused, more doubtful of your own perception. This is what Jung called psychic infection. Prolonged contact with someone's unintegrated shadow begins to contaminate your own psychic field. Their confusion becomes your confusion. Their anxiety becomes your anxiety. Their fragmentation begins to fragment you. This is not weakness on your part. This is the natural porosity of empathic consciousness meeting predatory unconsciousness. But the crucible's heat has been forging something invaluable: discernment. You are developing what Jung termed the transcendent function, the capacity to hold opposing truths simultaneously without collapsing into either extreme. You can now recognize that someone can be both wounded and wounding, both victim and perpetrator, both in need of compassion and dangerous to your well-being. This paradoxical thinking is the hallmark of psychological maturity. Most people live in binary consciousness, forcing reality into simple categories of good or evil. The chosen one learns to navigate the both and, the complex territory where truth lives. The archetypal drama. Which myth you have been living? Every psychological pattern has an archetypal root, a primordial story that has been playing out through human consciousness since the beginning of recorded myth. Understanding which archetype has been constellated in your situation provides the psychological distance necessary for integration. When we can name the pattern, we liberate ourselves from unconscious identification with it. The archetype most active in your experience is what I termed the trickster. In mythology, the trickster appears as Loki, Coyote, Anansi, Hermes, figures who disrupt order, violate boundaries, speak lies as truth, and create chaos that paradoxically serves evolution. The trickster is neither wholly good nor wholly evil. He exists outside moral categories, serving the psyche's need for transformation through destruction of the status quo. This man has been functioning as trickster in your life. His lies have forced you to develop deeper truth-sensing capacities. His betrayals have taught you about boundaries. His confusion has clarified what you actually value. The trickster destroys our naive assumptions about human nature precisely so we can build more realistic, resilient understandings. He is the coyote who raids the hen house, forcing the farmer to build better fences. The violation serves the strengthening. But you have also been living the archetype of Persephone, dragged into the underworld against your will, forced to spend time in darkness with a figure who represents death and transformation. The myth tells us that Persephone's mother, Demeter, searched desperately for her daughter, making the earth barren until her return. Your own life has likely felt barren during this period, creativity blocked, joy diminished, growth stunted. This is the Persephone descent, and it is non-negotiable. The psyche must spend time in the underworld to learn what can only be learned there. What many miss about the Persephone myth is that she returns changed. She is no longer the innocent maiden. She has become queen of the underworld, comfortable in darkness, capable of navigating death. This is your transformation. You are returning from the underworld with knowledge that will make you powerful in ways you cannot yet imagine. You have learned to see in the dark. You have learned to recognize death disguised as love. You have learned that some forces must be respected from a distance, never integrated. Simultaneously, you have been living the Psyche and Eros myth, the story of a mortal woman who must complete impossible tasks to prove herself worthy of divine love. But the twist in your version is that the Eros figure, this man who seemed to promise transformation, was himself trapped in unconsciousness. You have been attempting to love someone back to consciousness, which is an impossible task that violates the fundamental principle of individuation. Each soul must do its own work. The tasks you have been given, maintaining boundaries with someone who has none, loving yourself despite constant devaluation, trusting your perception against gaslighting, these are the labors of Psyche. And like Psyche, you have been descending into the underworld again and again, each time retrieving something precious. What you have retrieved is your own authority, your own truth, your own capacity to choose wholeness over harmony. There is also the Bluebeard archetype active here, the story of a woman who discovers her husband's secret chamber filled with the murdered bodies of his previous wives. The horror of this tale is the recognition that the charming exterior concealed serial destruction. You are at the moment in the story where the key is finally turning in the forbidden door. What you are about to see will be devastating, but ultimately liberating. The wives are not literal corpses, but psychological murders, the parts of people he interacted with that died from contact with his unconscious shadow. Understanding these archetypal patterns does not excuse his behavior, but it contextualizes your experience within the larger framework of human psychological evolution. You are not pathologizing a personal conflict. You are recognizing an eternal pattern. This provides crucial distance. When we can say, ah, this is trickster energy, or this is a Bluebeard dynamic, we step outside the personal wounding into archetypal witnessing. This shift from personal to archetypal is the beginning of integration, the shadows economics. How unconscious people drain. Conscious ones, let us now examine the brutal economics of this situation with the precision of a psychoanalyst studying energy exchange. Jung discovered that psychological energy, which he termed libido, operates according to principles similar to thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed and transferred. In relationship, we are constantly engaged in energetic exchange, giving, receiving, balancing, or in the case of pathological dynamics, extracting and draining. The man in your life has been operating as what I termed a psychic vampire, though not through conscious malice. His unconscious psyche, unable to generate sufficient internal energy due to the massive amount required to maintain repression of his shadow, began drawing from your field. This is not mystical speculation. This is observable psychological mechanics. Every time you interacted, notice what happened to your energy levels. Did you feel enlivened or depleted? Did you finish conversations buzzing with inspiration or exhausted, as if you had run a marathon? The quality of authentic connection creates mutual energization. Both parties leave fuller than they arrived. But connection with someone in shadow produces unilateral depletion. You leave empty while they unconsciously absorb what you offered. This extraction occurs through specific mechanisms. First, through what Jung called projection. He could not see his own pain, so he unconsciously projected it onto you, making you the container for feelings he refused to acknowledge. Every time you found yourself inexplicably anxious after speaking with him, you were likely holding his anxiety. Every time you felt sudden shame despite doing nothing wrong, you were likely experiencing his disowned shame. This is not energy you consciously agreed to carry. It is energy he unconsciously deposited in your field because his psyche could not tolerate it. Second, through emotional enmeshment. Those with poor psychological boundaries cannot distinguish where they end and others begin. His unconscious psyche experienced you not as a separate person, but as an extension of himself, a psychological organ he could use to regulate his internal states. When he felt chaotic, he unconsciously dumped that chaos onto you, then felt temporarily relieved while you absorbed the disturbance. This is the mechanism behind the confusing pattern of closeness, followed by cold withdrawal. He drew close to discharge his disturbance, then pulled away once he felt relieved, leaving you to process what he had transferred. Third, through triangulation. Notice if he kept you in constant awareness of other people, ex-partners, potential romantic interests, friends he compared you to. This was not innocent social discourse. It was a shadow manipulation tactic that kept you in a state of psychological instability. By preventing you from feeling secure in your position in his life, he kept you producing anxiety-driven energy that he could unconsciously feed on. The human psyche in anxious attachment produces enormous amounts of psychic energy as it tries to resolve uncertainty. He was farming this energy from you. Fourth, through intermittent reinforcement. Behavioral psychology has proven that random reward schedules create the most powerful addictive bonds. He likely offered genuine warmth sporadically, unpredictably, just enough to keep you engaged, but never enough to create security. This pattern, what trauma therapists now recognize as a hallmark of psychological abuse, was training your nervous system to stay in perpetual high alert, constantly scanning for signs of his approval or withdrawal. This hypervigilance is extraordinarily energy expensive, and that expense was benefiting him at your cost. The chosen one, walking the individuation path, becomes increasingly intolerable to unconscious individuals precisely because you stop offering this energy freely. Your boundaries strengthen, your discernment sharpens, you stop absorbing others' projected content. You stop performing emotional labor for those unwilling to do their own work. This evolution creates what Jung called enantiodromia in the relationship, a flip into the opposite. The person who once pursued you begins to withdraw. The one who claimed to value you begins to devalue. This is not because you have changed for the worse. It is because you have stopped providing the unconscious energy supply they required. Your prosperity has been blocked not through cosmic punishment, but through energetic mathematics. You cannot build while simultaneously being drained. The creative energy required for manifestation, the psychological coherence necessary for opportunity recognition, the confidence needed for bold action, all of this was being siphoned into the black hole of his unintegrated shadow. The universe could not deliver your next chapter because your hands were full, holding his dysfunction. This is why the coming exposure is simultaneously rupture and release. The energetic tie will be severed, not through your willpower, but through the natural consequence of his shadow, finally erupting into visibility. What has been hidden will be revealed, and the revelation will create the boundary you could not create through conscious effort alone. This is divine mercy operating through psychological inevitability, the symptoms of spiritual discernment. Trusting what your body knew, let us catalogue, with forensic precision, the ways your body-mind system has been attempting to warn you. The chosen one develops what Jung recognized as somatic intelligence, the capacity of the body to know truth before the conscious mind can articulate it. Your awakening journey has been clearing the channels between your physical and spiritual selves, making you increasingly sensitive to energetic dissonance. The sleep disturbances began months ago, didn't they? Not the gentle insomnia of an overactive mind, but the specific pattern of waking at 3 a.m., that hour spiritual traditions call the witching hour. When the veil between conscious and unconscious is thinnest, you would wake with his name in your mind, your heart racing, your body gripped by nameless dread. This was not anxiety disorder. This was your unconscious psyche attempting to alert your conscious mind through the only channel available. Disruption of S.